Hello everyone and welcome to this first episode on how to fly the 737 next generation aircraft. First a disclaimer, I'm not a real world pilot, I'm just a flight sim enthusiast, just as you know that. Um, Today we are going to look into how to make a flight plan and how to read the operational flight plan as well. So you can understand what you are going to look at and so on. So we're going to use simbrief for this, a very recommended website to use for flight planning. So we should just jump right into it. So first we need to find a flight we want to fly. I have found one here with the Norwegian from Oslo to Copenhagen. It is already live, but that shouldn't be a problem for our flight planning. So this is just going to be for the flight planning. So we are going to fly from Oslo to Copenhagen. This is going to be Norwegian. That's their airline code is Delta Yankee 932, departing 0630 UTC. So when you're making flight plans, it is really important that you know it is using UTC, and for that, if you are in Flight 24 and you don't know if you have local time, local airport time, or UTC, you can see here you can go to the settings icon, MISC, and then local airport time. If that is enabled, you're going to get the local airport time. And if that is disabled, you're going to get the UTC. And UTC is what you use for flight planning. So when we know the aircraft we want to fly, the route and flight number, we still don't know the call sign. So if you go up here and you can search the airline code, Delta Yankee, and the flight number, 932, and then here you go, Delta Yankee 92, that's going to be Nordic 932. So then you get your call sign down there. So that's important to know that the flight number and call sign is two different things. The call sign could be very different than the actual flight number, but mostly the flight number and the call sign is going to be the same. So when we know where we want to fly, we can go into simbrief and hit new flight. So the first thing we want to begin with is the flight info. So airline here, that's going to be the airline code we just looked at. So that's going to be Delta Yankee. Flight number, that's going to be our flight number. That's going to be 932. Departure airport. If you use normally you use ICAO codes. So for also that's going to be Economy Golf Micro ENGM. But if you don't know, you can go up on this icon up here, search for an airport, and you can type in your airport. In this case, that's going to be Oslo. And then you can see you get also Gardermoen, Norway, ENGM. You can just select that, and that is going to automatically select the ICAO code for that airport. Go to flight to Copenhagen, so Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. So up here we have the weather icon. So here we can look at the current weather in Oslo. So you get the current METAR. You get a little bit simplified up here with also the airport elevation here at 682 feet. You get the TAF, so here you can look at what the weather could be throughout the day. So if you're going to fly more sectors in and out of Oslo, this could be handy to see if it is going to be any sort of wind changes or rain or snow or things like that. Down here we have the NOTAMs, NOTAM to airmanship. Here we are going to get information about closed taxiways, VRs or ILSs that maybe are out of service, and new things like here we have a new fuel provider at Oslo as well. And if you need to increase the minimums because of crane activity or things like that. So this is going to be things that is not going to be as standard, but it is going to be there for a short period of time. If it is standard at the airport, you're going to get that in your charts. So then we can go to our departure time. That's going to be 0630 UTC. 0630. And you can apply. So 16th of December, 0630. And your alternate airport here, that's currently auto. You can select anything you want, but normally leave it just at auto. So here we have aircraft info. So we have the aircraft type. Here we have all the different aircraft that simbrief have provided, and you can select whatever you want here. But here you have your variant or airframe. So here we have all the different airframes, because the aircraft that is here is probably not going to be the same as what you have in the simulator, about the passenger capacity and things like that. So here I have an airframe that's called Norwegian, and that is a 77-800 with 184 passengers, and that is what the PMDG aircraft have in the maximum passengers that the PMDG aircraft allows. So I'm going to select that. If you want any sort of profiles like that, you can search on flightsim.io and generally on the internet, I think, your aircraft and simbrief profile. For example, this PMDG 77-800 simbrief profile, and then you should get a simbrief profile for that aircraft. Cruise profile, you can just leave it as it is. Cost index, that's something you could leave at auto. Norwegian normally uses 9, so I set that inside the profile, so that's going to be automatically selected every time I select this aircraft. The same profile also, you can just leave that as it is. So fuel factor, what this is that if you use, for example, the aircraft type or a profile and you see that the fuel burn is different, you can add or subtract fuel from the flight plan according to what the aircraft burns. So if your aircraft burns more than your flight plan says that you should expect, you can add fuel here. This is in percentage. You can add a 15% increase in fuel because the aircraft burns 15% more. And but generally I don't use this at all. And if you don't have any problem with fuel, you should just leave this at 0. So here we got to the ATC call sign. We looked at that. That's going to be a Nordic 932. So in registration here, you can leave this. We don't need to fill in this, but we're going to fly with Sierra Echo Romeo Papa uniform. So like I said, you don't need to touch this at all, but you can if you want. FIN number and SILCA code. I normally just leave this as it is. SILCA code, you can get that inside your aircraft when you're parked, or you can probably find it somewhere on the web. But yeah, like I said, normally just touch this at all. So down here we have the OFP layout. We have some different airliner layouts like Lufthansa, Delta, Air France, and so on. And that's basically how their flight plan are laid out. So if you normally just want to fly KLM, for example, you can select KLM, and they're going to get their operational flight plan layout. The region is not here, so we're just going to leave it at the Lido, and that is the default one. So that's what most people are using. AirRack cycle. Here we can select an older AirRack cycle if you know that your simulator is not up to date, so you can get the correct navigation data for what your simulator have. But if you have up to date, as you can see here on the green, I have a green light here, so I am up to date in the simulator, so I can just leave this at what it is. Units, kilograms or pounds, use kilograms. Flight map. This is basically how your flight map is going to be inside your operational flight plan. You have detailed, route only, simple, or none. And we have this at detailed. Taxi in, taxi out, and in. So this is basically going to be in minutes and how what you can expect on taxi out and taxi in. I normally leave this at what it is, but if I know I'm going to de-ice the aircraft, I probably add another 20 minutes. Because this is going to add taxi fuel, and you don't want to depart with less than you need to get down to your destination. So if you know that you could expect a delay, you can add your taxi time here. Remember, it is in minutes. You can also do that on the taxi in. So like I said, I normally just use it when I know I'm going to de-ice. I add another 20 minutes because the engines are running and we need de-ice at the runway, so it is going to increase our time on the ground. Flight rules. This is going to be IFR. You have VFR, you have IFR to VFR or VFR to IFR. So if you, for example, depart out of an airport like Oslo and you want to fly somewhere else, and fly IFR to that place, and then you're going to change over to VFR or visual flight rules, and then fly visually down to the airport. Then you would select this. But in when you're flying airliners, you probably just normally use IFR unless you do a visual approach. So we want to leave this as IFR. So type of flight, this is a scheduled flight. You have non-scheduled, general aviation, military, or training. You actually don't need to touch this at all. And I just leave this as it is. Alternate counts. So here you basically can say how many alternate you want. So currently it is 1. You can set all the way up to 4. As you can see here on the map here, we get now 4 different airports that we can divert to. And this could depend on the weather conditions at the different. You can also select none, but normally I just have 1 just in case. So here optional entries. So schedule block time, you can just leave this as it is. So departure runway, if you know that, for example in Oslo, if it is winter operations, they normally use runway 01 left for departures and 01 right for landings. So here you can select what runway you want. So simbrief select on runway automatically, but it might not be correct in what they actually do in real life or what they have on Watson, for example, if you fly online with the ATC network. So you can change that here. As well, arrival runway. I know that in Copenhagen they never use 2 to right for landings, they just use 2 to left. Of course, 2 to right is going to be for departures. So then you can change that here so you get what you want. Altitude, that is going, we can set that at auto. So simbrief can calculate your cruising altitude. And you can just leave it as it is. You can select something you want, but simbrief is going to do it for you, so no worries there. Passengers, you can also select that at auto or leave that at auto. You can select whatever you want here. You can type in whatever you want, but said normally use this at auto. Freight. So freight, that is basically going to be extra cargo, because if you select your passengers, simbrief is going to calculate baggage for all your passengers. So you're going to get cargo out of that. But if you know that you want to fly with some extra cargo because you have some extra cargo capacity inside of the aircraft, you can go here and you can basically type in something. But normally it is on none, and that is what I normally leave it at. Payload, this is going to be in auto, and that is going to calculate with the passengers. So yeah, and zero fuel weight also in auto. That is basically the weight of your aircraft without the fuel on board. We have some fuel planning down here. We have the contingency fuel. That is basically some extra fuel, normally around 15 minutes you have on board. Your reserve fuel, you can also leave that at auto. That is going to be what you need to have in the aircraft when you land So normally that's going to be 1,000 kilograms ish. So that means you need to be on the ground or land the aircraft before you reach 1,000 kilograms. Otherwise, you need to call a fuel mayday. Taxi fuel, you have the taxi minute here, so it is going to calculate it. But if you want some extra or change it, you can do it here. Block fuel, that is going to be what you actually want to have on board the aircraft. That is going to be with everything. Contingency, final reserves, alternate fuel, trip fuel, everything. And arrival fuel, going to be what you have when you arrive. Minimum equipment list fuel. So if you know that you have something on your aircraft that is not working properly, but you're still legally able to fly, you can, and you know that you probably need some extra fuel for that, then you can select that here. ATC fuel, if you have any ATC delays, you can add another here. Weather fuel, if you have a weather situation at the airport, you can add some extra here. And extra fuel, if you want to make extra, you can add here. And tankering, some extra as well. So it is a lot of extra fuel, but normally I just actually not touch this fuel planning at all. Text entries, pilot ID, captain name, dispatcher name, that's going to be on random. And you have some remarks there that you could type in if you know something special is going to happen. For example, bad weather. That is if it is really bad weather, I think simbrief actually going to say something here on the dispatch remarks, but normally don't touch it at all. Down here you have your route. So here you have some different route options that you can fly, but normally you just leave this at what the simbrief says, and you're going to get your that it is valid with this current air rack. and how long it is going to be, and so on. You have route finder, so down here you can basically probably find a route. Normally don't use it at all. Alternate airports, so down here you can change how they will find your alternate airports. Maximum distance from your airport or arrival airport, minimum ceiling on the clouds, and maximum or minimum visibility, minimum runway length, and so on. Like I said, normally don't use this at all. ETOPS, that is going to be when you are flying long haul, so I'm not going to cover it here. And historical weather, that's going to be historical weather, and debug parameters, debug. So normally nothing below the route here. Don't touch this at all. Forgot to go into here. So here we have called navlog. That's going to be something with the navigation log of your flight plan. ETOPS planning, it is going to if you have this enabled, the simbrief is going to calculate for extended. I think it's going to, and now it's called extended transoceanic planning, or operations, extended transoceanic operations. It was called extended twin operations. That's probably what you guys know of, but I have switched it. And the name, I'm not sure if that was correct, but you can just say extended twin operations. Planned step climbs. So if you want to step climb, you can have that on. If you don't, you can just leave it off, since that simbrief is not going to calculate in the step climbs. Runway analysis, that's going to be analysis of runways. I have heard that this one only works with the JetBlue layout. That's going to be this one. So that is probably why it says off. I'm not sure if it is correct. I haven't tried out, but it is off, and normally don't use it at all. So include note times. This is going to be if you want note times in a flight plan, and FIR note times, that is going to be note times for airspace. So we can also have this on. You can turn it off if you don't want, but normally leave it at on. So there you go. That's going to be our flight plan. So when you are finished, you are satisfied, you can generate a flight. Just going to wait a few seconds. And there you go. So now you have a flight plan generated. You have your route here. Dispatch remarks non ATC flight plan. So this is what your ATC or ATC is going to look, or what they're going to see of your flight plan, and things like that. So if you, for example, fly VATSIM or IVA or on a ATC network, you can go profile network, and here you have all the ATC networks. You can go to profile, and then you can file your flight plan from there. So it is going to bring you over to the website where you can file your flight plan for that particular network. And you have some flight plan downloads. So if you want to download the flight plan for different aircraft or simulators, you can do it here. For the PMDG 77 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, that is not necessary anymore. Everything is going from the universal flight tablet, so you don't need to download anything from here. So then we can go view PDF. So here we now get our flight plan for today. So we can begin at the top. This is our flight, Norwegian 932, 16th of December 23, from Oslo Gardermoen to Copenhagen. We have a 737-800 and registration is Sierra Echo Romeo Papa Uniform. And it was released at 06:59, 16th of December 23, so that is when it was made. OFP1, that's going to be how many times you have generated the flight. So if you have generated the flight 3 times, it is going to say OFP3, so that's going to be the third OFP they have made for this flight. So ATC call sign, that's going to be Nordic 932. We have still the same date and registration 778 and with the CFM 56-7B26 engines. So we have our departure time out of Oslo 06:30 and our arrival in Copenhagen at 07:44. So here we have the maximum limits of the aircraft. Note the maximum landing weight in the 737-800 is actually 66,360 kilograms. I have set it to just 66 because so the chances of us being low or overweight is minimal. So yeah, just to note that. And then you have your estimated. So we could expect 66.7 or 66,788 kilograms for the takeoff weight, landing weight 64,468. Still fuel weight 60,848 kilograms. So here we have a cruising or a cost index, that's going to be 9. Ground distance and air distance on the route, and the average wind, average ICA. So that's this is basically information you're going to get into FNC and things like that. So average fuel flow or fuel burn, kilograms per hour, 2,547. So here you have your alternate airport. That is going to be Berlin-Brandenburg for us today. And flight levels from Gardermoen 310. If you would have got step climbs after this one here, it would say a waypoint and a new flight level behind. So that means you're going to climb up at that waypoint. So here, dispatch remarks nil, that's 0. So no remarks or none. So here we have your planned fuel. So trip fuel to Copenhagen, we need 2,320 kilograms. That's going to give a flight time of 54. Continuous fuel of 15 minutes, 637 kilograms and 15 minutes. Alternate Berlin, so to get to Berlin we need got to round it up to 2,000. That's going to give us 44 minutes. And final reserves, going to round it up to 1.1. That's a 30 minutes of flight time. Minimum takeoff fuel, so that we need to depart with out of Oslo with at least 5,940 kilograms. That's going to give us a flight time of 2 hours and 24 minutes. So extra fuel, if you have selected anything, that's going to be down here, and the flight time equivalent to that amount. Takeoff fuel, like I said, that is what you want for departure. Taxi fuel, so 227 kilograms on taxi in Oslo. It's going to give us 20 minutes. And block fuel. Here is what you are going to load into aircraft. So normally I round it up to the nearest 100, so this is going to round it up to 6,200 kilograms. So we have a little bit extra, just in case. So here you can also pick extra fuel. If you have it on paper, for example, you can write it down. Or if you have a PDF viewer that you can write it down. And then you can add, then you're going to select the total fuel, and then you can just write down the reason why I picked extra fuel. You don't need it, but you can do if you want to. Final resource plus alternate. This is what you're going to get inserted into FNC, and that's going to be 2,983. Round that up again, so that's going to be 3 tons. And trip and taxi fuel 2,547. And so we can go down here. We have our alternate airport, expected runway, and track 170, so heading of 170, and distance 261 miles. Nautical miles. And then you have your routing to that airport. And flight level, climb at fly there at 310, and time 44 minutes, and fuel that you want down there. And then we get down to your routing. So you have your route ID, and then you have your routing for your flight. So 100 right, Oxat 6 Delta departure, Oxat Airway Lima 996 Kelin, and so on. Here you have departure ATC clearance. So if you have it in paper or you can write it down, you can write it. Write it departure clearance here. Operational impacts. So here you can see some impacts on time and fuel burn. So P means plus and M means minus, obviously. So here, if you speed change cost index 0, we're going to burn 28 more kilograms. And if we change the speed to cost index 100, or so we're going to save 28 kilograms. And if we change to 100, we're going to burn 88 more kilograms, and we're going to save around 1 minute. And then down here we have the weights. So here we can see your estimated passenger weight. So we've got the full aircraft today, 184 passengers. The cargo, that's going to be with the baggage, so that's going to be 2.8 tons. And your total payload with the passenger and baggage, 18.6 tons. So the fuel weight, fuel, and you also got the maximum on the side here. Takeoff weight 66.8, so way below our maximum. And landing weight 64.5, maximum 66.3, so it is below. So here you get some other information from this is the flight log. So information, all the information you need for every waypoint and so on, coordinates, wind directions, and so on. We are going to take and normally what you're looking at here is this one maximum wind shear value here. So it is if it is at 3 or below, you could you don't expect any sort of turbulence throughout the flight, but if it is at 3 or above, you could maybe get some turbulence, and it's going to estimate where you should expect to encounter it. So this time is going to be at our top of climb. So normally what you're going to look at the flight log here, you're going to look at your estimated fuel of burn. That's going to be here, what you should expect to have on board the aircraft, and actual fuel of burn. So that if you're able to write it down, you're going to write down what you actually have in the tanks. And this here is what you could expect to have burned, and you're going to and you also what you actually have burned. So we're going to take fuel checks every half hour. You can extend it to every hour, but normally a fuel checks is going to be every half hour. And then you're going to write down what you have here. Then we get down here to wind information. So this is basically going to be the winds from at the different waypoints at different altitudes, and you're going to can see what the direction is and the wind speed as well. So normally just use your descent when you are setting up your FMC for arrival, or if you want to do a step climb, you can check if it is actually sufficient to climb higher depending on the winds. So down here we get some segments. This is weather reports. So you can see it is a lot here currently for Polaris and also for Sweden control. But here down here you have your departure airport. So here we're going to also get your current METAR and the TAF. So what you could expect. So for example, between 1400 Zulu and 1800 Zulu, you could expect winds from 200 at 15 gusting 28 knots. So also, so to look at the timing, so the first two letters, the first two numbers here, that's going to be the date of the day. So it is 16th of December today, so 16th. And the two last one is going to be the time in UTC. That's going to be 16th of December at 1400 UTC to 16th of December to 1800 UTC. And here it changes to 1700 at the 17th of December at 0 in the evening or in the middle of the night to 6 in the morning UTC at 17th of December. And you also get for your destination and also for your alternate as well. And here you get your note times again. So here we get a lot more than you get in or in simbrief when you look at the airport. Like I said, you get basically the same as you get in the airport info when you generate your flight. But if you go further down, you're going to get also for the ATC or center controls. So it is going to be a lot of note times. Normally, I just read through the airport note times. That's the most important ones. So yeah, as you can see, it is a lot of pages with just the information about the restrictions and so on. So here we get your simple map here, just the general drawing of a route. And here we get your significant weather charts. So here we can see some general weather. So this icon here, if I remember correctly, that's going to be icing. So we could expect that from 180 and below. And X is the unknown. So if it is a flight, if it says 180 here above, that means it is going in top is going to be at 180, And if you set, for example, 1 to 0 below, that's going to be between flight level 180 and 120. Here it is unknown, so it is going to be from 180 and to the ground, and so on. So here you also get your wind directions and speed, and this is at flight level 240, and you also get it at different altitudes. So flight level 300 here, you can see we get a little bit of tailwind all the way down, and flight level 34, and here you get your general profile of your entire flights, and also the terrain drawn below you with the winds as well. So yeah, that is basically end of the flight plan. So I hope that you have enjoyed this first tutorial, and I hope to see you again on the next tutorial or on a future flight. So I hope that you have enjoyed and hope to see you again on the next one. Bye bye.